Hey, everybody, this is Daryl Hamill, and I want to thank you for joining me today. What I have today is I have a very interesting guest, somebody I know personally, but I wouldn't say we're good friends, but I do know Adrian. I've known Adrian since about 2012, and he's very interesting. I want to bring him on today and have a conversation with him and ask him some questions because I believe there's some real value in there.
Thank you, Daryl.
Hey, Adrian. So now that we got that out of the way, let's just get right into it. What were you doing before you became a real estate investor?
Well, I grew up with entrepreneur parents. So I grew up in the middle of a business. Literally, we lived and the business was all around us. It was a plant and statue nursery in Plant City. It was A&A growers and it turned into Metals of Nature. So I sold oranges that I would go and pick from the neighbor's orange fields and I would dig up plants and sell those. I've always kind of had that entrepreneur mindset, we'll say, but I have had a few real jobs. I'm putting air quotes so the people just listening. I worked at Walmart for a bit. I think I had about 3 weeks at a restaurant in the kitchen. And then I did this event marketing. That is like a real job. It's kind of maybe the middle of the two of them, where it was contract. I did a lot of work for Fortune 500 companies, and it was just contract. So I might have a job for a week, a day, 6 months, and I was in charge of that event as I went through, and I got to travel around. So there was a lot of freedom with it. And as you mentioned, I got into real estate, and once I got deep into it, 11 years after I started, I haven't looked back.
All right, so let's go into that because you are pretty deep in real estate. What was the really pivotal moment for you that took you from like dabbling in it to really embracing, hey, I think I want to do this as a career. I think I want to be an investor.
Well, one of them is actually in hindsight. I didn't get it at that moment. But my first house I bought, I moved my friends in. This is after we got evicted for being young and dumb 20-year-olds. You don't rent to 20-year-old Adrian. But after I bought that house, I went and bought another one. My friends all lived there. I lived for free at the first one. The second one, I was losing a little bit every month. And then we had that big recession that happened. And I lost the second house as a short sale. I didn't work for 6 months. But the first house, I didn't lose that because my tenants, my friends, paid my bills. They paid all of that. So I didn't get to eat much, but I didn't lose the house. And I realized that later on that was a really big deal. I didn't have to stress about everything. So then when did I actually realize I want to do this real estate thing? It was probably about 11 years later. I went to this random real estate meeting club that a friend, I say a friend from Facebook, not even someone I knew outside of Facebook, kept inviting me over and over and over. I mean, just consistent. So I finally one night went to this meeting and I got hooked. I got hooked on the education, the networking, the everything about those clubs. And I don't know what really attracted me besides that. Started moving around, shiny object like all of us get at times. Once I found that mobile home niche, it was the predictable passive income. And I could create a business out of this that would fulfill my life and I could live my life on my terms.
So was that a big driving factor for you was being able to the idea of living life on your terms? Because it sounds like you weren't the type of person who I would say is quote unquote like the normal employee. Like it just
Yeah, I'm not
a lot of
employable.
you're not employable. I love that. That's a great expression. So when you found out that you could go this route, you could live a lifestyle you wanted. Was that really the main selling point?
Yeah, the only other real job I think I had was the YMCA, and I love the Y. I still remember there. I worked twice a week for 4 hours each shift, and it drove me crazy because I knew in 6 months on Tuesday at noon where I had to be. And that just was not okay in my mindset to know that. I would rather, back then, I said, I would rather work 90 hours, but on the hours I wanted to work versus 8 hours a week when someone else told me. So it was just purely the freedom to decide when I worked and when I didn't. And now I don't want to work 90 hours, but I do get to choose when I run my business, where from. Geographically free is a term that I took from someone. So I set this business up. I'm geographically free. I can be anywhere in the country, really anywhere in the world that have Wi-Fi, and I can run the business. And I have tested that. Didn't even let my office manager know when I was gone. Got back and said, "Did you know I wasn't even in town?" And she had no idea. So it's
Okay, so you just mentioned that you have an office manager, and that was going to be that's a question I had for you that I really don't know. Do you consider yourself self-employed, an entrepreneur, a business owner? Like, what do you consider yourself at this stage, right?
no one's asked me that direct question. I would say an entrepreneur. I never thought I'd have an employee. Actually, I never wanted one. But Jill started with me at 4 hours a week just to answer the phones because I didn't really enjoy that. and now she's a full-time salary employee. She's the most important piece of my entire business. She's on vacation
Mm.
this minute, and I didn't know how to do some things because Jill takes care of it. It's just something that, again, I didn't think I'd have. I'm able to bless her and her family, and I get so much more back by she takes care of what I don't like to do, and really I'm not good at.
Let's go back a few years, about 6 years ago. When you and I were kind of talking a little bit, we would talk about people like Tony Robbins and Les Brown, all this. I'm curious because you started attending events by with Tony Robbins, such as Unleash the Power Within. Is that correct?
Yep.
UPW. Let me ask you this: how have attending events like that, listening to or reading books from other entrepreneurs, how has that helped you move forward as somebody who never wanted to have an employee you didn't think you would, and live a lifestyle the way you wanted to? How would you say that that's influenced you, as opposed to, say, some of your friends who may not do that? Do you think that that was instrumental in helping you get over to where you wanted to go?
It is the massively most important thing I've done in my life is to attend all that stuff, read all of it. I don't read really anything these days that's not mindset related. I go to seminars for real estate education and we'll say business and marketing, but I spend, I'm going to guess 70 to 75% of my education time and money is on mindset of some sort.
Wow, that's 75%. You would say, you would
It,
estimate.
it might be more, honestly. I don't, again, I haven't read a non quote unquote self help woo woo book. eh, I don't know how long. It's been a really long time. That is what I do every day. That's what keeps me uh, sane, keeps me, like, I'll say flat, from exploding anymore and having a bad temper. Or it keeps me happy. It's what
Interesting.
makes my core at peace.
I like that. It's what keeps your core at peace. And so you're attending these events. This is your education. Where do you find the time, if this is all mindset? Where do you find the time to learn and educate yourself about real estate, or would you consider that part of the same?
Now, when I was in massive real estate growth, I was putting more time than I am now into that education. And there's always going to be more for me to learn, and entrepreneur and real estate and marketing, every piece of it. But we know, it's the what's it, law of diminishing returns. You start knowing a good amount. You go to a 2-day seminar, and you're really looking for two nuggets, and those two are worth every bit of the time and money. But you're not getting a page of 1,000 items anymore. So I go to for that. But when I meditate and I do my incantations and I take my lunch break and listen to Les Brown or someone like that you mentioned, that slows me down to where I can actually be productive and I can do the education I need and I take in more during that time than I would have if I not calm and at peace. So I'm getting more out of the time I'm doing it. Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense. And which is going to lead me to another point. So, for many who may not know, Adrian also wrote a book called How to Buy Mobile Homes, which I was at your book signing, your book release. And in it, I thought there was an interesting section. I want to say it was chapter 3 or 4, where you talk about getting a mentor and having a coach. And so I thought that was very interesting to read, because you said you never thought that that was something you want to do. And then you heard somebody talk about Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan has, he's one of the greatest of all time and he has a coach and mentor. How important, or let's start with, when during your journey going into as an entrepreneur and going into the business and going more into real estate, at what point did you realize that you want to try a coach or a mentor? And what was the big push that really pushed you over the hump to say, you know what, I'm going to try this? Because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had said your ego was kind of holding you back. So,
Yep.
so tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, you were correct. My ego was holding me back. I didn't even tell people at first that I had hired this coach. I went to this coaching program and I was scared to be wrong. I was scared that I paid all this money and it was a scam. So I went into it honestly with a bad mindset, which is shocking it worked because I went into it negatively. I can't remember the exact, I'll say, moment, and even I'd have to go literally back to my timeline. But right now, I would say it was probably 7-ish years ago and maybe a little bit longer. But really, I was very frustrated. I was comfortable and frustrated because I knew I could do more. I knew there was more out there, but it just wasn't really happening. And I say I was comfortable because I had a decent house. I had enough money to do stuff. Honestly, my wife at the time made enough money that I didn't have to work. That wasn't going to be the plan. But like money wasn't a stressor to just get by and to live and work the rest of your life the normal way, that just didn't calculate with me, that that was going to be the life I lived. And I just got frustrated because I wasn't getting the gains I wanted. So that quote is actually, I heard it on a podcast, and I was like, all right, this guy's right. I, I need to do something because who am I to be better than Michael Jordan? That was like literally what I was thinking. And I was looking at a few different things. Went to a 3-day seminar by Life and Air, and I went there like without my wallet. I am not buying this thing. No way. But the price, I was like, there's no way I don't get value out of it. And I really respected some people that I knew that were in it. And they were in it and they were massively successful. So I was like, all right, there's got to be something here. And I ended up joining. I didn't think I would. I went through it, and now I'm still in Life and Air. Ken Holmes is my coach. I won't ever go a point in my life without a coach. At this moment, I have actually three. I just hired a new coach, so I have Ken, which is my I'll say Life and Air, my full life business. He's a little bit of everything coach. I have a relationship coach, and that's a relationship with myself, with you as a friend, audience that I don't know, my parents, a significant other, like just relationships. And then I just hired, technically, it's a CFO that steps in, but I really consider him a coach because that's really what he's doing. I'm getting by with it, but if I want to bring the finances and business to the next level, I need someone who knows what they're doing. And he says he's a CFO that's, does a part time, but he's coaching me on it. It's really what he's doing. And I've hired a book coach before. I've hired a coach for my office manager. I fully believe in coaching. You can get by. Would I be successful without coaching? Yes. Would it be as fast? No way. No way would be as fast.
So the way you look at it, or the way you're talking about it, is it's like coaching is like an accelerator. It'll get you there faster.
Yes. And of course, it's the right coach because I still don't think every coach out there, we know there's some slimy people, especially in the real estate coaching, teaching world. But I have a lot of friends that are coaches and they truly want to help other people. And they're there for that reason, not the money side of it. And those are fantastic coaches. How about that?
Awesome. Now it's interesting because it sounds like you went to an event and you were like, I am not paying anything. And so you ended up getting a coach. And fast forward, as you said, I think about 7 years later, now you have three coaches. So if that's anything, it sounds like you really believe in coaching.
For
If
sure. And
anything, you
if something ever happened where Ken is not my coach, I will immediately find a new one. I don't plan to ever go through life without some type of coach. I may not have three at all times. I plan to have Kathy as one of my coaches forever. It may not be monthly, it may be every few months. And then there might be times I need her every week again. But she's a relationship coach and she just makes things so clear. It's like, oh man, that was really dumb that I was thinking that and I thought it in that manner. And life is just better.
a great segue. I want to talking about your relationship coach. Now, how you and I initially met were our former wives. Keyword being former. So going forward, going into what you're doing now, because there's a lot of people get involved in business. And one of the things that I hear about business, especially when I used to work with Patrick Bet David at Valuetainment, when he would coach people, he would always talk about their partner. Like if people were invited to events, he would say, make sure you bring your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend. And he would talk about the importance of getting them on the same page. Going forward, where you're at now, do you ever see yourself possibly, are you open to getting married again? And how is that different for Adrian today as opposed to Adrian like 10 years ago who got married? What would you look for differently in a partner, if anything? Or, how would you enter into that relationship?
Well, for sure I will get married, or at least have a very significant partner. I don't know if the word marriage is what has to happen, but someone I'm only with. What has to happen that's different? So I made my future wife, I'll call it. I'm putting air quotes again. And it's an exercise that some of my friends have done where you basically put cannot have, don't really care. These are attributes of her. Would be nice, and then must have. And I'm not trying to say like gamifying this whole thing and like it. She doesn't fit this Excel sheet. That's not humans, but it helps clarify like what you're really looking for. So I have this thing called a life vision. I have a business vision. This would be very similar to like my future wife vision. Like, what does she like? If does she like yoga? Does she like outdoors and nature? If all of those are yeses, and I'm hanging out at the trash bar down the street, should I expect to meet her there? Probably not. If I'm going on hikes and I'm going to a yoga studio, is my likelihood to meet her there higher? Probably. So it just helps us be intentional. That's really what I'm doing. I'll say different. Is that I guess I'm looking a little more intentional. Before, they don't have classes on how to get married and how to have a partner. Like, we get these classes before getting divorced. People do all that. They don't do it going in, which would be much smarter of a society if we just said, "Hey, this is how to work together." Because doing those harder things and having those harder conversations and actually being open and vulnerable and setting the right expectations for each other, I really think most marriages would work out if that's what was the case.
It's awesome, man. It sounds like you've learned a lot, and you're applying what you've learned to what you want to do in the future and how you're looking at the future. I love the word you use, very intentional. That's a great word, being very intentional. Let's talk a little bit about, you're in real estate investing, and you specify, you're very specific in a certain type of niche or a certain type of market, which is mobile homes. And so you've been doing the mobile home market for how long now?
6 or 7 years ago, I think I started.
6 or 7 years ago. How recent has it been since you've started I can see it on your shirt there, the lifestyle REI? Tell us what that is. What is lifestyle REI? And how did you go into that?
Lifestyle REI is my education brand. So my buying brand is My Wife Buys. It is a t-shirt. So this is why this one's yellow. My buying brand is My Wife Buys Mobile Homes. It just kind of happened. People liked it. It fit my personality. Nice, bright, and loud colors. And I like a little bit of attention. And it worked. And then when I said, all right, I'm going to do this education thing, wasn't really sure what to do. I asked some people for help, went to my masterminds, went to my coach, and they're like, well, you got this thing that works. People like it. They remember the color, the shirt. So use that. Lifestyle is building the lifestyle you want and having the business flow through it. So I spent a lot of time before I started Lifestyle REI, the education side. What do I want it to look like? What don't I want? And it all has to filter through my personal life. I literally was just messaging with someone that he wants to market me more. He wants to redo my website, all this stuff. He's like, you're leaving so much money on the table. And this guy's good. He's got a good business. I'm like, I know. I do that a lot. I leave a lot of money on the table because I like to go enjoy life more than actually work a ton. And you may not think it's a good business move, but that fits my life. So lifestyle REI is that. It's building a business, mine happens to be real estate, that satisfies and serves the personal life, not the other way around.
So this is your education portion. So when you say education, are you going out there and are you providing products or courses that can help people like yourself who want to be real estate investors, but also be very intentional about a lifestyle? Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly. So I have my book, I have an audio book, I've got my 4 or 5 courses now that people can go in, and it's courses to go and learn stuff, not the Saturday night, late night guru stuff where, it's just an upsell, upsell, upsell. It's written and taught to take it and go and learn. My niche, as you said, it's the mobile home with the land. I also love the landlord side. I love teaching that. I'm passionate about that topic. So I've got some of those courses, marketing, because like I said, I like to market, I like attention. And eventually I will get into some of the mindset because, as we've already talked about, that's way more important than the education and real estate. Because if we have the right mindset, all of this other business stuff is actually pretty easy. And I'm pretty passionate about that topic.
Oh, I want to ask you, I want to learn a little bit more about your business. So a couple of days ago, or maybe it was last week, I had said to you when we were talking, I said, what is it, Adrian, exactly that you do? And your response to me was, well, I must be doing a bad job at marketing. Because you said, I seem to get that question a lot from people I know. And I thought about that question. So I want to ask you this. I don't believe I'm your target market. So it's very possible that I don't know what you're doing. Have you found that your marketing and everything has been effective for your target market and your branding? Because also in your book, you talk about how you've tried all different forms of marketing, whether it's print advertising, you've tried door knocking, you've tried social media, you've gone on podcasts and everything. Do you find that your marketing is starting to be more effective the more and more you get into the education side, the lifestyle REI? Because a lot of these gurus make it seem very easy, don't they? It's like, hey, you just get on camera and spend $99, create a funnel, and there you go. You're a millionaire. Are you a millionaire yet?
Exactly. They make it ridiculously easy sounding. And And if you have the right mindset, it's definitely easier than if you don't. But my marketing is, I found that I enjoy, that doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like marketing, is networking. And networking is me wearing this shirt. It's very rare that I'm seen in public without a neon yellow shirt. I've been called a neon highlighter. I've been called a traffic cone, all different fun names. And I post on social media with it. But it's all fun. It's not just, hey, let me buy your mobile home. Hey, buy my course. And I realized as we were talking, like, I might be doing a little too much of the fun and not actually explaining what I do. People know
Mhm.
the brand, they know the shirt, but what is the deeper level of it? And I talk about I have my book all the time, but that doesn't fully tell people. I mean, the title says how to buy mobile homes, but it doesn't tell the deeper side of it, of the benefits you're going to get out of buying mobile homes, the freedom, the financial, the location independent freedom, doing what you want. I've learned I don't talk about that enough. Now, you mentioned that you may not be my avatar. You didn't use that word, but that's a word I really like. My avatar for the education side, I really just got that solidified last year, the end of last year. So it was very difficult to market the right way if you don't know exactly that one person you're marketing to. So my avatar is someone that's already in real estate. They've had two, three, four transactions. They could have more, but they're frustrated. They're not getting the returns they want. They're wanting it to go faster, and they're not wanting Grant Cardone, big, 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 but they're wanting more, and they're frustrated. They're not getting freedom fast enough with the traditional route, and then the mobile home route accelerates that. And one of the reasons I found that to be my avatar is that was me. So usually we're speaking to ourselves when we're teaching stuff, and there's honestly a high turnover rate of people that think they want real estate. It's actually around 97% of people that attend all this stuff never do anything. And personally, I don't want to get burned out by people that pay for a course and never do anything with it. I want people to pay for my course and actually go use it and make money. And the other way of just getting burned out, of people just giving me money and not doing anything, that doesn't sound fulfilling to me. And I want something that's fulfilling because I want to do this forever.
As a lifestyle, correct?
I,
Like this is
exactly. As my lifestyle. So right now I am traveling a lot. I mean, I'm traveling all year. I'm booked up. I'm even booked into the next year, which is maybe not my perfect vision world, but that's not what I want forever. I do want kids one day, and I want to settle down more, but I'm enjoying it in the moment. I'm building my brand. Putting my time in. I kind of don't like that term, but I'm doing that in the manner now while I enjoy it. So later I can have the lifestyle to say, you know what? I'm only going to speak 4 times this year. And I can be picky because I've already proven I got good stuff and made a name for myself. So I can have the lifestyle now that I want. And later I want the lifestyle where I can be really picky where I go and speak and who do I speak to.
let's go a little bit deeper. We've talked about a little bit about who you are and we talked about what you do. Let's go a little bit deeper into you as the entrepreneur and what it's like being that person. If you could go back to yourself, say 6, 7 years, if you could go back in the past, what would you do or what would you say to yourself, knowing what you know now? What would you say or do that would make your journey different? Do you think, knowing what you know now, you could go back and you could do it in half the time of what you've done now? Or what would that look like if you went back, if you could go back 6 or 7 years, knowing what you know now?
This is a question I've pondered a lot. And yes, I could go back and tell myself the things to do, coach myself essentially. Say, hey, hire a coach sooner, listen to them sooner. Don't buck the trend and say, no, I know it all. But I could fix a lot of the relationship stuff. I could go back and I could give all these tips. I don't think that would be beneficial. I don't think preventing all the pain and the hard times and the early mornings of doing things wrong and getting up and working, 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 and making mistakes of working too many hours and being obsessed with the business only. I don't think that would have benefited my life. The short term it would have, but the long time, unfortunately, I think a lot of us humans need pain to actually make the change and to realize, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't be obsessed with business and working 90 hours a week because I love it, quote unquote. And I do like my job and my business. But there's other things there besides just real estate. Part of the reason I loved it so much was I was good at it and it made me feel significant. One of my 6 human needs is significance, and I was using it in the wrong way. So I'm just going to stick with that. Is I wouldn't go back and massively change things. Maybe the tiniest bit to accelerate it. But I believe, like David Goggins talks about, we need that pain. That's how we grow, and that's how we do more stuff better. Is that pain?
Question: being an entrepreneur, is it as lonely as some people make it out to be?
It can be. It definitely is if you're not intentional. Um, Especially in the real estate world, because I mean, I do have a office manager, as I mentioned. We have a few VAs, but I mean, I could go days without talking to any of them if because things are either going right, they don't need my help, and if I ask for help, though, there's tons of people that want to help, friends, mentors, coaches, my team, but we got to proactively go out there and ask. You know, how many times do I call you and just say, "Hey, let's just talk about business"? If I did that more, then it wouldn't be so lonely. There's tons of people that want to talk about business and that want to talk about real estate or mindset. We just kind of get trapped in our own world, I think. So it's our fault that it's lonely.
Wow. I think that's pretty. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody put it that way. It's our fault that we're lonely.
And the same idea, the next, I'll say, question or level of that is, it's lonely at the top, quote unquote. When I joined Life and Air, there was a joke that you join to become free and you stay to have friends to travel with. And it actually started coming true. I saw friends that their friends at home, they plan a trip around them, and none of them end up going. Only us Life and Airs went because we created a life intentionally that we didn't have just one vacation a year, that we could live life on vacation, set it up where we could work from there, different things. So you do have to start finding the right people if you want to be on vacation multiple times a year. Not everyone can do that or can go to lunch on a Wednesday, every Wednesday. Or I like the Wednesday because right in the middle of the week, most people are working. A phone call you can reach out, but to be able to do those different things in the middle of the day is pretty cool. You got to find that group that can do it as well.
I want to continue going on this path, getting to know you a little bit better and digging into Adrian, the entrepreneur. Tell us, what is it right now, Adrian, that you struggle with the most, whether it's in your business or personally? What is right now? What are you struggling with the most?
Getting everything done slash outsourced that I don't like or I'm not good at. I can go through a quick list of I'm speaking a lot, I'm on a lot of podcasts, I'm booking all of that. I don't particularly love booking it all. I love jumping on here and talking. I can do that every day, all day. But booking it and finding the right times, that's just not fun to me. The same thing with the speaking. I much rather speak in person. Now, Zoom fits my life a little bit more at times, but I also don't have the income that I could just say, I'm going to fly everywhere, all around the country. And I really don't want to do that either. I want to travel and visit friends along the way. It's part of my vision of my personal life. I like to just stop and go camping and have some alone time, go to a random brewery. It's the whole travel through. But figuring that out because I'm working on someone else's schedule of when they have a meeting and it's open. I don't like the word overwhelmed because I'm really intentional with my words, but that's the feeling I have felt a little bit last week and this week. But because of all that mindset we talked about, because I've been doing that for so long, I noticed it really fast. And I took a few minutes and I just said, no, you're not. It really doesn't matter. If you get all this book now, if you get it later, it's just going to work out. And that's one of the reasons the Lifestyle REI is not a business that I have to live off of. It's just that extra money it pays for the life because then I can just say no. And then I can be very intentional with it. The other piece of that is, yeah, why don't I just hire someone to do all of this? I don't want a big overhead monthly because that sounds stressful to me. I have some mentors, some big stories. They had a $35,000 a month just to break even. I don't want that type of life. I don't want that pressure to have to make all of that. And that's more moving parts. I'm much simpler than that. And then there is, I still have a little scarcity mentality. We all have that in some manner, money wise, consistently upgrading the mindset of money to the next level, next level. And if I had the right person, Daryl, if you said, Adrian, I have the perfect person, she's experienced and booking all around the country at all of these these investor clubs. She knows how to do all of that. I promise you she's perfect. I would probably hire hands down. I'm literally doing that right now with a lady, a podcast. A friend told me that. He told me some people that she's worked for years and they're big names. I was like, I want to talk to this lady. Interviewed her yesterday and I'm going to be hiring her. A little bit more than I expected to pay an hour. So, but it's worth it because she's going to do it better than I'm even doing it right now. So why not hire her?
I love it, man. I love getting to know this a little bit more about you as well. Let's keep going on that theme. I got this question. I've been curious myself personally. What is the one thing that you would say your friends or family, or both groups, what would you say they what is most misunderstood by them as far as what you do as a business, or who you're becoming, that say maybe your friends with Life and Air may know? What is the biggest thing that you see, the biggest misconception with friends or family about what you're doing and where you want to go?
I believe, of course, it's going to be general because not everyone has the same views, but probably that I'm doing it all for money. And in reality, I don't value myself enough. I don't charge enough. I've had friends, the Life and Air, and some other my mastermind and other masterminds I'm in that have helped me upgrade my value of myself. But that I just do all this for money. I've given away a lot of education, much, much, much cheaper than I should have. I still am today. I've given sellers more than I probably should have. I say should have from a business standpoint. When the contract says they owe me 8,000 and I give it all to them. I really believe in
So you're
we'll say the being.
So what you're saying, the biggest misconception is they think that you're doing it for
Yes,
money.
and I am not going to say I'm not doing it for money. I mean, I've got to make money. That's how our world works.
You got to eat.
Yeah, I got to eat, and yeah, I would like to maybe eat a little nicer and truly order off the left side of the menu. I do that now. I just don't go to places that the right side is triple digits. So the right side is the price, and so anyone that didn't grasp that, I have to make money, and it's a business. I have, we'll say, charity things that I do, but I do that purely as charity. I love speaking to kids and teaching kids about money. There's no money involved there that I'm getting paid in any way. It's purely give. So I basically, the Lifestyle REI, I go and teach adults, and if you don't pay, you don't value it as much. That's my belief. And then that will help subsidize me teaching the youth. I'm not going to make them pay at all. I'm much more flexible. If a kid cancels on me, I'll give them another shot. An adult, you're done. I don't have a very good tolerance for that. But a lot of people think that you're just doing all this for the money. And there's a value of charging there, but that's not the number one. I wrote my book and the filter first of education. And a lot of people will tell me I put too much information in there and I didn't sell people to come back to my website and buy more stuff. A pure action taker, they will take that book and be super successful. Reality is most of us want someone to hold their hand a little bit more. And my book is such a pure give that if you really resonate with it and you like it, you're going to come to me because you like me and because I gave. You can't outgive the system. The BNI, givers gain. I believe in all that so much that I'm scared not to give openly. And it can be frustrating that the money doesn't always come back right away. So that's a really long rant. The simple answer is I think that people think I'm doing it just for the money.
I love that, man. Hey, listen, I know we're getting close up on time here. And so first off, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. I know this is one of our shorter talks, and I would like to have you again at some point and we'll have a longer, more in-depth discussion. But I feel like we got to learn a lot about you, the person, today. We didn't even touch into things such as like Toastmasters and other groups and organizations you're a part of. So what I would like to do, Adrian, before we sign off, I would like to ask you one question. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a tradition going forward, but I would like to ask you one question. If you could give any piece of advice, whether it's real estate investing, whether it's starting an online business, it's starting a brick and mortar business, whatever it is, if somebody came up to you and they said, Adrian, I'm thinking of starting a business, is there any piece of advice you could give me? What would be, do you think, from your perspective, what do you think is one of the most impactful pieces of advice that you could give somebody?
Take action before you're ready and before you think you're ready, and ask for help. Worded another way is take massive, imperfect action and then ask for help. Because when you're planning to take imperfect action, you are planning to fail. But there's so many people out there that want to help you as long as you're taking action and moving forward, and you're going to get there so much faster.
Massive action, huh?
Massive imperfect action. Because,
Massive
imperfect. We got a lot of overanalyzers out there. I've been in that world for a bit, and I still catch myself there. But people want to help when we mess up, and we learn from our failures.
Dude, I love that piece of advice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Adrian, and sharing yourself with us. And I look forward to doing this again. And so if anybody wants to learn anything about you, where's the best places they can go to learn about Lifestyle REI and my wife buys mobile
The
homes.
best place is go to adrians360.com. It's essentially a landing page that has all my websites on there, my social medias, my book, any upcoming events I have. It's a fancy website that shows everything right there, and you can find me there. Shoot me a message. I'd be happy to help. And I appreciate you having me on here, Daryl. You're the one that does all the hard work. I get on here and talk. You have to produce a show.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate that. And what I'm going to do is whatever medium you're watching this on, I will provide a link down there or up there in the comments for people to go and find this out. Adrian, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk soon, my friend. Looking forward to having you
Appreciate
again.
it, man.